Hello guys, welcome back to Lartman Farms. I seem to be very happy because I have a situation properly under control. In my previous episode, I showed you that we lost over 70% of the tilapia we had in this tank, and at the moment, we've got it sorted. In today's episode, we are also going to talk about the need to be monitoring the quality of water in your farm. Water quality is the most essential aspect of fish production. The first bit I normally tell people is when you want to set up a fish farm, there are different components you need to pay attention to. The first one is to make sure you have the right setup, so that means how you build your farm. The second thing I talk about will be around water quality. You cannot compromise on your water quality for any reason. So when I talk about water quality, I'm looking at two different things. One is known as water quality of the source water. So when I say source water, wherever you are getting the water you'll be using to farm your fish from is your source water. And then this one is cultured species water. So whatever water you have your fish living in, okay? So what I tell people who farm fish anywhere is that make sure the source water, sometimes just try and get a reservoir so that you pump the source water into that reservoir so that you are able to test the quality of the water. If it is coming from a well, a borehole, the chemical components in the water changes from time. There was a farm I visited the day before, the water was less salty, and then the following day when I went there, the water was more salty. So it is very ideal that this kind of farm tests the water on a regular basis. So testing of water quality can be done daily, every other day, or weekly, depending on what component you are looking out for. So I have with me here in today's demonstration in my backyard, two different tanks. You know, they are the same set of tilapia. They came in the same day, but there are two different things that is happening in the tank. Initially, in our previous episode where we lost about 70% of our fish, I taught you guys a lot of things as to why we have this challenge. The whole idea behind this setup is to mimic the problems you guys could face and then find ways to solve them together as a community. So I have this tank water nicely changed, and then I have this water which is not nicely changed, and I'll teach you how to handle a couple of things, okay? So why is it important for you to maintain good water quality? Your fish live their entire lives in water. They eat, feed, grow, and every activity of theirs is in the water. Therefore, the quality of water would transcend into the quality of fish. So in today's demonstration, we have pond A and then pond B, and the fish in pond A was where we had a lot of the mortality. Now when you get close to any fish pond at all, this is a rule of thumb you can use. For you to be able to determine whether there's a problem in the fish pond or not, what you can look out for is first look for the fish and how they behave. If you realize that fish come to the top of your pond and they seem to be gasping for air, that means they are suffering and they are just looking for air. It's an indication that the water quality is bad. The quickest way you can solve the gasping for air issues is, one, you can do water changes. That is, you open a valve, allow either all the water or some part of the water to go out, and then introduce new water into the pond. Then the next thing you can also do is you can also put in some aerators to give the fish some oxygen. Now, if you've been following our episodes for a long time now, when we brought the fish in initially, we used to aerate the ponds. And there was a point in time where we had a lot of fish in this tank, so the stocking density was high, and then we had the mortalities. After taking out the dead fish, about like the 70% that we lost, we've not had any mortalities in any of these tanks. And that is because now a lot of the fish, there's a lot of oxygen available to all the fish, and then changing of water in these tanks is not like just once in a week. So I make sure on my Saturdays I just spend some time, come and then I change the water in my tilapia tanks. One of the most important components that a fish farmer should always look out for has to do with temperature. Temperature does a lot of things in your fish farm. One, it controls the metabolism of your fish. The cooler the environment, the slower the metabolism of your fish. Therefore, your fish is not going to feed as much as they are supposed to. And monitoring your temperature is very important. For catfish, I know they do about 26 to like 33 degrees Celsius. And then for tilapia, they do about like 26 to like 30 degrees Celsius. There are some farms, even in my farm, I've had instances where the temperature of the water is a bit lower than that, but yet still, I don't have any mortalities. It's all about paying attention to your fish, and then you as a farmer, always making sure that you tweak things. So for example, if the temperature in this pond is a bit high, I could also open valve, water comes out, and then introduce some cooler water into the pond. So this is an example of what I'm talking about. In order for me to reduce the stocking density in my tanks, so there isn't a lot of pressure, sometimes I give some fish to some of the subscribers. So I had a subscriber who reached out to me, and then he came here, and then I took some of my fish from this tank. And when I checked his water was a bit high in terms of temperature. So I went inside, took some iced blocks, placed them in the water to bring down the temperature a little bit. Then I took him to his farm, and then he also had an IBC like this, and then we stocked the fish in the tank. But then the issue was that he had his poly tank up on the building, and therefore the water is normally hot. So I advised him that his water changes should be done very early in the morning. During those times, the water is not hot. But then in his fish tank, as you can see, we decided to drop some ice blocks, about like 5 or 6 pieces of ice block into the water to calm the fish down. And after calming the fish down, we didn't have any mortalities. The fish looked to be very, very much okay. The reason is that fish do not have the organ to be able to maintain constant body temperature. As human beings, we're able to maintain constant body temperature from different times. It doesn't work like that with fish. Now, another physical component of fish farming I want to teach you has to do with turbidity. Okay, turbidity is generally around the clarity of water. So if you should look at the water in the pond, how clear the water is what I would term as turbidity. I'm trying to make it a little bit more simple. So I have 2 tanks over here. I changed water for this one, but I didn't change water in this particular tank. Now, fish can be able to adjust to certain levels of turbidity. What causes turbidity, as you can see in this pond, is algae bloom. So the more green a pond looks like, you will say that that can cause the turbidity to be high. A second thing could be dissolved solids in the tank. So feed, excrete, and what have you, that falls in any organic matter that gets into the pond, and then it decays in the pond, can increase turbidity. So if you look at this particular tank, the fish is quite clear for you to see. Reason being is I did a total water change. Okay, so that is for this particular tank. Now let's move to the second tank, where this video will teach you what you need to learn. Now, if you come and you look inside this pond is extremely green, and we have a lot of algae bloom in this pond. Now, for you to have your pond being green, it's not necessarily a problem. The only thing is that you see how green it looks, right? The algae are plants, and these plants, we know plants will photosynthesize from time to time, right? So these plants will photosynthesize, and then in the evening they will take in oxygen. So during evenings, you'd realize that the oxygen level in this tank or in a tank may reduce if there's a lot of algae in the pond, because the algae are plants and they are competing with your fish for oxygen. Therefore, as farmers, we need to find ways to be able to solve these problems, hence turbidity test. So for you to do a quick test for turbidity, you see, fish can handle certain levels of turbidity. In this tank, you could hardly see the fish. So if you want to quickly do a turbidity test, this is my hand, right? This is my arm, sorry. And so for me to do a quick turbidity test, I'm going to put from my finger all the way to this part of my arm into the water. And then after doing that, I'll try and see if I can see my fingers. If I can see my fingers, then the water isn't so turbid. But then if I cannot see my fingers, then the water is very turbid, hence I need to probably do some water change, and then that would be ideal for my fish. So let's try it out and see. So yes, it's the fingers we want to see. And so let me put my and even at this level, it's very difficult for me to see my fingers. This is to tell you that I cannot see my fingers, right? It comes almost to my wrist before I could see my fingers. Therefore, this water is too turbid. And if you have your water sometimes being too turbid, it's difficult to even monitor the health of your fish. Now, what I did was me trying to mimic a Seki disc. Okay, a Seki disc is normally like it has a black and a white. It's a black and a white round thing you put into the water, and then it mimics this instead of putting my hand in the pond. But because we are backyard fish farmers, this is what we can use in the meantime. So quickly what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the water in this tank, and then when I change the water in this tank, I'm going to get them some fresh water and they'll enjoy life. Okay, so there is always this thing with fish, they know when they're supposed to feed. So when you come and you drop feed, they'll just come and then come and eat. Currently they are not that hungry, just because of you guys. They are just dropping something in. But yeah, this water was changed just this morning, but then again, the algae would try and take control over the entire pond. We do the water change every week. So once in a week, we change the water completely and then we replenish. Also, our registration for our training is still ongoing. If you guys want to join the training, is an intensive fish farming training where we are going to have resource personnel from the university, and we are also going to have very big farmers representing to also share their experience with us. Also, we are going to discuss a lot more into the different things we've spoken about, but then into details, including aquaculture finance, which we've not spoken about yet on our channel, but then it's very, very important that we talk about that. If you're interested in joining the training, you can just give us a call or WhatsApp us your details and let us know that you want to join the training, because we are running out of slots and we can quickly get you booked. You can join online or you can come in person. All the same, you will not miss anything at all. Then what we are going to do is to just go and give this pond a quick water change so that the fish can be okay. Maybe after an hour, then we will feed them as well. Remember, our next episode is coming again, and we are going to talk about disease and symptoms. See you.